Here, the head coach of the Cavaliers, Dane, Damron. Coach, on the road again this week, taking on the West Virginia State Yellow Jackets. 1:30 kickoff in Institute. Before we get to that game, recapping homecoming real quick. Defense played extremely well. I know they played well at Tusculum, but they may have played even better last Saturday.
Yeah, they did. That was our best game defensively. Kids really played hard. We didn't start out very good on either side of the ball, kind of lackadaisical in the way we approached the start of the game, and it's been a concern of ours, and it's still a concern. It's something we have to get better at. But defensively, once we got used to game speed, I thought our kids played extremely hard. We weren't perfect in what we were supposed to do, but anytime that you play hard and with passion, you have a chance to make up for some things that, you might not have been in the right gap or been in the right spot, but hustle and tenacity got you back to where we were. So I was very happy with how we played defensively.
We've seen some kind of odd things on special teams the last couple of weeks. Blocked kicks. They took one back on you. At Shepherd's, you guys blocked a couple of kicks. If you could hit on that a little bit and kind of the wild things we've seen in special teams.
I've got to do a better job, coaching special teams. We're trying to use some kids on special teams that aren't playing a whole lot on defense, just because depth is always an issue. And I've just got to spend more time coaching the punt cover, and the kick's got to be where you're supposed to kick the ball to. If you're supposed to be kicking it to the right, the ball's got to be kicked to the right. It can't be kicked down the middle. We've got to do a better job on our coverage lanes. And I think that Trent Martin will be the first to tell you that he didn't have a very good game kicking the ball. I thought both field goals that got blocked were low, but that's not something I'm too concerned about, because I think Trent's a good kicker. I think good kickers have bad days, and I think that he had a bad day. But there's no question that he'll have that corrected on Saturday, and I've got all the confidence in the world that it will be corrected on Saturday.
Coach, last week in the win, you failed to gain 100 yards on the ground. That was after back-to-back 100-yard rushing games. You're facing a West Virginia State team this week that allows right at 180 yards a game, and they've allowed a league-high 10 rushing touchdowns. This is a chance to get the running game back going and build off the momentum you had a couple weeks ago.
Hopefully, but I'm sure West Virginia State's sitting there thinking, this is a game we got a chance to get our rush defense right. So we've got to run the ball better. Offensive line, we've got to be more physical at the point of attack, sustain our blocks, and running backs got to do a better job of trusting the scheme. There was a couple of times last week where we thought we had, some gains in the running game, but we predetermined just to cut it back. And so I think it's very easy to continue to blame the offensive line when you're not running the ball like you should. But it's a holistic point of view of the quarterback. If he's running against a loaded box, he's got to get the ball out and not try to run into that. So that's something we're working on, as I'm sure every one of our opponents are working to stop. So that's just something that we got to continue to get better at.
Kind of a glass half full, half empty deal here. You don't win a lot of ball games when you're -3 in turnover margin. But that's something you did last week. You got to be proud of your kids' resiliency, and got to think that game in a lot of ways maybe was closer than it should have been. At the same time, you want to correct those turnovers.
Correct. Turnover margin usually doesn't lie. I would like to think that we were really just -2, because the last interception was just, we were kind of one of those situations where I didn't know if we wanted to kick a field goal and have them have a chance to try to block it and pick it up, and we're in a situation where we could really punt. So we just said, let's try to throw one up there and try to get a touchdown right here. We felt like it was a safe throw. But we've got to do a better job of creating turnovers. That's something that Coach Boyd and I have talked about. And how do you do that? Well, you just got to emphasize it in practice. Anytime the ball's laying on the ground, you got to emphasize to your defense to pick the ball up. So that's something that we're very conscious of. We want to always be +1 in everything we do in the turnover. But I've been involved with games where I've blocked several kicks and lost. So all that matters at the end of the day is you get the W, and we got to make sure that we do our best to get those things corrected.
A couple young men from Richmond, brothers Jacob and James Cousins, had big games last week. Both over 100 yards, 96-yard play, second longest in school history. Talk about those guys and the development you've seen over them from when you got here to today.
I think they've definitely got better. Jacob is a kid that didn't play last year. He transferred. I think he transferred from Virginia State or somewhere, transferred to here. And so he's shown a lot of ability, and I think James has really improved. I think they both struggle with just the little things sometimes, just to catching the football. I think they take for granted catching the football. But as they showed Saturday, when they do catch, they're pretty dynamic. James showed some speed that I didn't know he had on the 96-yard touchdown. he pulled away from them there. So I think those two have a chance to be two of the better outside receivers in this league. They've just got to understand that every day they got to concentrate on all the little things. And we're happy with them, and it was good to see those two guys get going.
Something I thought was impressive, especially last week and all year, is when your secondary has to make tackles, they're getting guys to the ground. I mean, Cardbow last week had 5 solo tackles. Touch on that a little bit, and those guys, when the guys get to them, they're getting them to the ground.
Yeah, football's a space game now. It's in the last 25, 30 years, you've really seen it go in the direction it's gone, where more teams are playing 53 1/3 wide instead of 100 yards long. And so the whole goal of offenses now is to try to get your athlete matched up on one of their athletes in space and see if you can make him miss. And that's something that we're very cognizant of. We spend a lot of time teaching open field tackling and just get the guy down. It's evolved into a game where it's not about making a big hit, it's about making a good tackle. And tackles don't have to be good hits. Tackles just have to be secured, wrapped up, and get them to the ground and get ready to play the next game. And I think Ed's been pretty good about that all year. I thought our secondary played a tremendous football game on Saturday.
West Virginia State's got a freshman running back, Juwan Etheridge, 127 yards last week. He's already over 300 yards this season. And then they got a couple wide receivers in Akil Washington and Quentin Gray. The Gray kid especially really hurt us last year. Touch on the Yellow Jackets a little bit and what you've seen out of them.
I think they present problems just because they do have those athletes you just mentioned out wide, and as we just mentioned about tackling in space, they want to make it a space game and try to get their kids out on the perimeter and play a little bit of pitch and catch and do some things. So we've just got to make sure that we're sound in where we're lining up and understanding what's going on. And defensively, I think they do a lot of things to try to confuse you. They're very multiple on their defense, very multiple but very sound. But they're going to give Bryson a lot of different looks back there that he's going to have to try to decipher and get the ball where it needs to go.
Area your team's been really impressive in has been red zone defense. Top 25 nationally in that category. And then last week, after giving up the 10 points in the first quarter on short fields, the defense didn't allow another point because the other touchdown came on a punt return, and they crossed the 50 4 times.
Yeah, football is a situational game now, and we spend a lot of time on situations in practice, and red zone defense is a huge must. And anytime a team gets into the red zone, you're hoping you can hold them to a field goal. And I think defensively, starting from game one, even in the 2 games we've lost, I thought we've been pretty good in the red zone defensively. That's just something that we got to continue to do. The offense has got to be a lot better and quit going 3 and out so much and putting the defense in situations where they are back against the wall. And so that's something that we're working on. We realize we're a work in progress, and the kids understand what we're trying to get accomplished, and they're working hard to get those accomplished. And so, new week, another challenge, and we're looking forward to getting on the bus and going to Institute.
Coach, a final question. I'll give you a chance to talk about this a little bit. It's homecoming, so you're always going to have more fans on homecoming. We had nearly 2,700 people here last week, and had a lot of fans up at Shepherd, a lot of fans at Tusculum. Just talk about the fan support that you've seen for this program here in the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season.
Well, I think by the numbers that you just gave and talking about the road trips, people want to see a team that plays with passion and a team that plays with discipline. And of course, they all want to see wins. We all want to see wins. But I think anytime you're trying to build what we're trying to build, you have to look above and far beyond wins and losses. You got to look at what the kids are doing on the football field, and I think our fans can see a team that's playing hard, playing with a lot of passion, and playing the game the way it's supposed to be played. We're still a work in progress, but I think our fans are excited about the direction that the football program is going.
Fans, if you're not making a trip to Institute, West Virginia, you can listen on WDICradio.com or FM 92.1. Pre-game show begins at 1, kickoff at 1:30. There's no live video this week at West Virginia State, so you'll have to tune in to 92.1 or WDICradio.com. Good luck, Coach.
Thank you, Darren.